and gents, this concludes transmission. Tune in next time for a whole new edition. Another adventure and mission to share, be heard, and clarify the vision of this whole new world for Tamra.
Hey, y'all. It's me, Tamra, and Josh. Yes. Oh, my gosh. Y'all, the studio audience is so dope, but thank you so much for coming back through, y'all. New listeners, I appreciate you stopping by. New episodes drop every Thursday, so come on back through. All my regular supporters, you already know what it is. I appreciate y'all. If y'all are not, you should totally be following me on social media, and the link to that is in the episode notes. You should also subscribe to my YouTube channel if you're not. I told y'all I'm saying this every week. I've rebranded the YouTube channel. Live shows, everything only goes to YouTube. I'm also adding additional content, blogging, spoken word, we out here recording stuff. So yeah, y'all definitely should subscribe. If you rock with me, please just subscribe. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to say you don't have to watch videos, but just at least subscribe. Appreciate it. Let's see what else. Podcast Happy Hour, another one is coming up this month. I don't know when, and I don't know who's hosting it, but y'all know I will let y'all know. So be on the lookout for that. If you missed the last one, the link to all the podcast happy hours, there's a playlist, is in the episode notes. Okay, before we get into our topic, and I will officially introduce my guest at that point, I definitely want to do the I saw a tweet segment. And so, Josh, are you familiar with this segment?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so basically, I don't think you're on Twitter, or I don't know.
I'm not consistent with it.
Yeah, so we don't follow each other. So sometimes I will pull up a tweet of the person who's a guest and we'll discuss it, because some people tweet some wild stuff. But otherwise, I will just find a tweet that is, interesting, that I feel like will be a good icebreaker, blah, blah, blah. So this week's I saw a tweet. Bam. All right. So it says, people don't care about what you're going through as long as you're okay enough to come through for them. Literally just saw this today. I don't even know who this person is, but you already know how Twitter is. You see things from everybody. Yeah.
It's Abby.
You said, yeah, Abby. I don't know Abby, but shout out to Abby. So yeah, Josh, what are your thoughts on that? Because I thought that was super interesting.
So I've always been a person where I try to go non-biased at things, or kind of see things from other perspectives and stuff. So one, I would partly agree with this. A lot of people don't care what you're going through, because on their end, they're going through their own thing. And there are some selfish people in life. So you got the takers who they only care about the taking and stuff. But on the other end of it, I think everybody's going through something. So just because I can't see what they're going through and it feels like they're being selfish, maybe I'm being selfish in my perspective of you only come to me. But maybe you only come to me because I'm just good in that area. So I don't know.
Okay. That's an interesting perspective. Someone else went on to say, people really don't see how hard I be riding for them until I park, which, yeah. So I'm going to weigh in on that one. I feel like you really handled the first one well, as far as like seeing both sides. I try to be that way. But this one about people don't see how hard I ride for them until I park, man, I feel like you have to be very careful that you don't take people for granted. Like, make sure you show appreciation even for the little things. People don't have to do anything for you. This is why every week I say to y'all, I am grateful for y'all coming through, listening, or watching, however you consume it. I genuinely mean that, because you could spend this hour plus however much time I be talking by myself or with a guest. You can spend your time any other way, but you choose to, listen about my life and whatever. And I appreciate that. And the thing about it is, a void is left when people stop doing stuff that they generally do for you. You know what I'm saying? And so my encouragement to y'all with that one is just make sure that people know that you appreciate the, even if it's the little things, because they don't have to do it. You're not entitled to anything. So anything you want to add to that?
I mean, one thing on the other end of that, because sometimes I'm not going to lie and say I haven't taken people for granted in life. And so what I learned on the backside of that was, one, you have to appreciate what people are doing for you. But then at the same time, when people do something for you, you have to learn what they did so you don't become a user. So then you could reciprocate that later on, or maybe you can give it back even better, but just not using people.
Yeah. I like that. All right, y'all. So we are going to go ahead and get into this week's episode, which actually let me.
Do I got theme music?
You said what?
Do I got theme music?
I got a little razzle dazzle with my sound apps and stuff, but we ain't really there all the way yet, but we gonna get there when I get my Rodecaster Pro. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's the goal. I don't want. Well, that's why I don't have it yet, Josh. Like we ain't there. That's why I have a sound app that's on my phone that will suffice until then. But once we get there, I just have so many ideas. Cause yeah, you do want to add a little razzle dazzle, just like it makes me feel good to clap for my guests. Yes, thank you. You know what I'm saying? Like y'all don't gotta spend y'all time with me. So let's go ahead and get into the Jack of all trades. So y'all, this is volume 3. And basically a Jack of all trades is someone who masters many different things. Now you may have heard the phrase Jack of all trades is a master of none or something like that. And it's actually a longer phrase than that. But I've decided to more so look at it as a Jack of all trades as somebody who is just really good at a lot of different things. And so it may seem like they're not mastering one because they're mastering many, because they usually will master whatever it is that they're currently working on before they add on to it. You know what I mean? So there are a lot of people that I know, either podcasters. Last month we had D Murph, or people that I know outside of podcasting that I knew, that I have seen y'all just making waves in a bunch of different ways. And so this month we have Josh, who is my former boss slash a teacher slash a content creator slash, is auto body technician correct?
Well, I'm when it comes to like car stuff, it's like all encompassing. So like the mechanics and the auto body.
Yeah, Josh does all that though. So everybody, officially welcome Josh to the show. Oh, y'all are so good to us. We appreciate it. So yeah, Josh, man. Like I said, he used to be my boss at we left. Actually, he left before I did. It's been years. It's been wow. 6 for you almost? Yeah, almost 5 for me. So it's been a while since we worked together, but through Facebook, Instagram, social media, I've been able to keep up with him, his wife. Man, his kids are just growing up like right before our eyes. Yeah, your son finished, right?
Yep.
Finished high school. Yeah.
Today.
Okay. Yep. So one child graduated. The other she's a sophomore.
Freshman.
That's it.
That's it. But she already talking about graduating early. She's like, man, what do I got to do to get done early?
Man, listen, Janae, she finished October 1st, and she said last year, I'm graduating early, and she was in independent studies program, and so you go at your own pace. And I would watch her like just sit in her room and just doing the modules and doing whatever. And that's when I know that girl could do whatever she put her mind to that she wants to. So all this little other stuff she be trying to do where she don't want to do what she's supposed to do, boom, I know it's some bull. You know what I'm saying? But Yeah, so currently Josh is a teacher. Like, and I it's so cool because I got to kind of watch your journey. I remember when you were in school, getting your degree, and then y'all moved and abandoned it. No, I'm just kidding. But y'all moved away and then you became a teacher. And so like how long have you been doing that? What is your official title?
So my official title is, well, actually, my official title is I'm a special education teacher. But I always ever since, all right. So let's back up just a little bit.
Okay.
So when I before I got a degree, a lot of people don't know I was illiterate. Like I could read basic words, I could understand basic sentences, but I couldn't read. And so I went through school, and I think after I got my associate's degree from Metro, it unlocked something inside of me that I was just like, man, this was the hardest thing that I've had to conquer in my life. And after that, it was just like one thing after another. Like it was like, let's see if I can do this, or let's see if I can do this. And so anyway, and so after we moved and I became a teacher, now I'm like on the administrative track where I'm probably 1 year, maybe a year. I have opportunities in the past to take administration jobs, but I'm a person where I'm not chasing titles and I don't chase money.
Mm-hmm.
And so I I could have taken a couple administration jobs, but I knew when I got there it was going to be a learning process for me, and I wouldn't be able to actually contribute. So
Mm.
my official title right now is I'm a SPED teacher, but on top of that, I have like these subtitles where it's just so many different things. Not to like toot my horn, but it's just a lot of
No,
stuff.
no, no, and this is why you're here, jack of all trades. So when you say administration, does that like principal or like
Yep. So you got to be a vice principal first. So
okay,
I'm going to be a vice principal, and then we'll see if I'm going to be a principal, or we'll see if my track changes again.
okay, Principal Josh. Okay, you know what I'm saying. Now, man,
Shouts out to Miss Lee, who said I would never get here.
could you ever have envisioned when you were a kid, you
Never,
even considering
never.
like,
I had a mental track that I legit was going to go to prison. I
mm,
already knew it. I already knew it. My dad went to prison multiple times. I wanted to be like him. So that's really what I thought I was going to do.
mm, what changed?
A couple things. You know, the words say, "A man who find a wife find a great thing."
Shout out to Erica.
Yeah, so, well, a lot of her praying, a lot of me and her headbutting. I think that was number two under God Himself. But I think it was just being able to conquer that ability to read, because that
Mm,
ability to read like is a barrier for everything in the world.
hmm. Man, so how did you you didn't like you graduated? I did not know this. I mean, maybe I knew this, but I don't even think about it because of all that you do, and even like all that I've learned from you when you were my boss are still lessons that I apply now, still things that I share with other people. So like maybe I knew that, but like like how'd you graduate high school?
Shouts out to my wife.
Oh, okay. Maybe we'll take y'all didn't hear that. Don't worry about it.
My wife. She pushed me.
Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah, cuz y'all have been together since high school, which that's always a beautiful thing when you see people. I know marriage relationships and all that can be everybody says it's hard, even pastors, but just to see people stick together, the family stay together and not stay together on some bull like
So,
I know his wife, she's super dope, you know what I'm saying? And so like yeah, it's awesome. And so you're gonna be a principal. How do your kid now? Do your kids go to the same school? Like, how do they feel? Well, I guess
all right.
your
So
son graduated.
my daughter came to my school, but we have the same personality in which we do what we want to do.
Mm.
And so she was here for maybe one semester, and I told my wife, said, "Babe, she got to go." People was coming down to my room like, "Mr. North, Jocelyn is doing this," and I was like, and I said, "Babe, what you?" And she said, "Nah, he's lying. He's lying." I said, "Man, this is probably the most honest, grace-filled person I ever met in my entire life. That's him." And you're telling me he's lying? But yeah, so we got the same personality, and so I had to get her. I had to get her out for both our sake, because I can't separate home from work.
Mm.
So I'd be like, "Girl," but my son went. So I think it was last year or maybe a few months ago where he realized I was a legit teacher. Like he was like, hold on, wait a minute, you got your own classroom? And I looked at him and was like, who do you think I am?
What did he think you were doing?
He thought, I don't know if he thought I was a teacher's assistant or if
Oh,
I was just like a janitor in the school.
wow. Not janitor.
It makes total sense because every time I would come at him with some academic stuff, he would give me like a judgment look. Like he'd be like, "Mom,
Ooh.
oh yeah." So even on when I got my master's, he didn't come to the graduation, so it didn't click with him that I had my master's. And it clicked one day, and he was just like, "I can't believe what? How long?" I said, "What you think I'm gonna move to Texas to be a janitor?"
Yeah, that's especially leaving where we were and like the role that because he was the program director where we were.
Man,
So it's like that. Yeah, that would be a hell of a demotion. No shade to janitors. You know what I'm saying? Let me make that clear. But it's just like to go from a program director role to a janitor. That's just an interesting like change of career or whatever.
just abnormal.
Yeah. You don't usually do that unless you retire and then you still want to work. Like that's when you see people do that. But when you're still young and like trying to progress in your career, you usually don't do stuff like that. Yeah. That is hilarious.
Now and every time he's got a homework assignment, now he comes and hollers at me.
Oh, now he believes. Okay,
Now I'm not a dummy.
Oh gosh, that's funny. All right, so how long have you been teaching? I don't think we officially said that.
I'm in my 5th year.
Wow. Yeah. That is crazy. What grade do you teach?
So I teach 6th, 7th, and 8th. So for 4 years, I taught behavioral kids, like kids with like emotional disturbance.
Mm-hmm.
How in layman's saying, like the kids who tear the school up.
Right.
Kids, they send them, and then I'm their teacher, and we kind of get them back emotionally stable, blah blah blah, and all while keeping them on grade level content, and then we kind of transition them back. But it's a revolving door, so I did that for 4 years. And then this year, I do this thing called inclusion or co-teaching, where it's a room where it has to be less than 50%, but because I go in there, they make sure it's right at that level. So it's 50-50, where you got 50% special ed kids, 50% gen ed kids. And so either I'm doing the lesson and teaching, or my counterpart is teaching, and I'm going around helping the kids who need help. So we switch off like that. So right now I teach 6th grade social studies, 7th grade social studies, 8th grade social studies, 8th grade science, 7th grade language arts, a couple more, but so 6th through 8th grade.
How amazing is that you said you could not read and now you're teaching English? Like I didn't even know. I'm even like what I thought I knew about you. This like because obviously we don't talk as much now, ever since y'all left. But man, that's just wild. Like
I know you don't got access to your old emails, but if you went and looked at your old emails, the stuff I sent out was extremely simple sentences. Like it would just be like, "Hey, I need you to do this," or "Just do this," or.
Well, I kind of remember that, yeah, but I thought it was just because you had so much going on, and you were like, because there was a lot going on, and especially the role you had, the staff that you supervise, and just all the stuff that went on in our workday. I thought it was just that because you also tended to be, for the most part, very short with things. Like if our meeting went long, it was more so because I'm the more long-winded one, more so than you. So I just thought that's crazy. Wow. So when you started with the teaching the behavioral kids, when you did you want to do that, or so how did that come about? Like, did they trick you, or?
No, they didn't trick me, but because of my barrier of reading. So my level, like I've only recently got to a very high reading level.
Okay.
So when I first started teaching, I was probably reading at maybe an 8th or 9th grade level, and so I couldn't pass any of the tests except for the special ed test
Mm.
because the social studies test was extremely long and very wording, and they try to trick you with how they phrase the sentences.
Like when you go vote, yeah, I feel you.
Oh, no, exactly it. That's exactly it.
Yep.
So I passed the sped test, and when I went, the first couple of interviews I went, there's different levels of special ed, and they wanted to put me at the very low level of kids, and not because of my reading, because they didn't know about it, but because they said, oh, they need a man, they need a strong man in this room, and they said, yeah. So they sent me to a training to take kids to the restroom, and they had these not adults, but like big mannequin babies or children where you learn how to appropriately change their diapers and stuff. And I walked to the table, and I laughed and I made a couple jokes.
Right.
And the lady was like, I'm looking around, nobody's laughing. I was like, oh, maybe it's my sock. Maybe I'm just socially awkward in this situation. I don't know. And the lady asked me, she said, all right, we're going to get to change these diapers. I said, diapers? I don't even change my kids' diapers. And she said, sir, you've never changed a diaper? I mean, I have, but I'm not going to tell you that.
Right.
I was like, no, I made my wife do it. And she gave me that misogynistic look like, well, this is your job and this is what you have to do. I said, are you serious? Like, really, really? She was like, yes. I said, I asked her, I said, is it unprofessional of me if I quit right now?
Mm.
And she was like, are you serious? I was like, I'm not changing the diaper. Not on no child, not on no big kid.
Yeah, that's why I was like, wait a minute, was this a daycare or middle schoolers?
Middle school, high school, and some adults. They need to be changed. And man, those people who can do that truly and honestly are godsend.
Mm-hmm.
In education, a SPED doesn't get enough respect for as much stuff as they have to do. And it's not me. So then the only other option was in-class support or behavioral stuff. And I wanted to do in-class because I wanted to coach, but it didn't work out, and they put me with the behavioral kids. Crazy part is, doing our job that we worked at together, that's all the kids that were behavioral kids mainly got sent to me on a daily basis.
Me and the girls were just talking not like the other day, but like recently about one of them who was like, what are you gonna do? Yeah. We were just talking about her like recently. Like, I have like all my most hilarious kid memories, and of course I'm not gonna say names, but I can remember the personalities of all those kids, and it's because of the program I taught. They were never generally my kids; they were usually youth program kids, but man, or children's. But yeah,
So that person right there is a perfect example of a kid I would deal with on a daily basis.
Okay. And then now you deal with 50-50. So okay. So is it the kids that you deal with now that are in that 50% of SPED kids? Is it behavior kids or just like learning disabilities? Okay.
Because anytime a kid gets out of that behavior class, they always put them with me because they know I still do the structure.
Yeah.
And I'm still, as structured as I am, I'm still a loving adult. So it makes for an easy transition.
Yeah, and that consistency is good too, and also like you said, that transition for the kid so that they can kind of feel like, okay, yeah, I'm going to this new environment, but Mr. Nas is still there. So yeah, that's cool. So also, in addition to Josh being a teacher and future principal, apparently, and then he's gonna be like the superintendent and all that stuff, going ahead, never say never. You never thought you would have been a teacher or principal. So I mean, you don't know what God's plans are for you, and you definitely are a good leader. And y'all, I don't just say this just because he's on here. Like in my list of bosses that I've had, that not my favorite because they were just cool. Because I've had bosses that like I like you as a person, but you're not a good leader, or you didn't really know how to like lead me well, or
Yeah.
maybe even others, depending on which boss I'm thinking of. But this is definitely someone who I learned a ton from during my time that he was my boss. And it's not just about, like, currently he's a teacher, so he predominantly leads students, but he didn't really deal with students other than the behavior students where we worked. He managed adults, and I think it was almost all women staff that you had, and so having to navigate.
It was a handful of. It was just like a sprinkle of fellas, but
Yeah.
all the big personalities were women.
Yeah, and that was just the nature of where we worked. There was predominantly women staff that worked there, and all the different personalities, because none of us were the same. But the one thing that can say on behalf of everybody that was there when I was there is that, but his leadership style would almost be like tailored to what the person needed. Like, I was someone that he knew, I don't necessarily need you to tell me what to do, not in a prideful way. Like, I pretty much just do my job, whatever. But sometimes I just need to vent, and I need you to listen and just let me talk about, I can't talk to a kid like this, or I can't come at my staff crazy, or just whatever. I just need you to let me vent, and then that's all I need. And so a lot of our meetings, he wouldn't necessarily say much, but it was what I needed, whereas somebody else might have needed something different. And so me knowing that, and knowing that people only continue to grow and progress as they continue to elevate and gain new skills and learn new things, I feel like you're someone who could come into a school district or whatever and be able to have a role like superintendent or whatever. So no, you just never know what the plans the Lord has for you. You
I
feel
receive
me?
it. I receive it.
You know?
To be a superintendent, you got to be a doctor. So I'm gonna tell you like this: if I get a
Woo.
doctorate degree, people gonna call you. My name is no longer Joshua; it's Doctor.
Listen, if I go back and get my master's, y'all can't tell me nothing, because I hate, like, I did well in college, but I just,
Man, you know what?
nah.
If you Here's the thing: is if you're gonna go into a world where you need a master's degree, get it, because I don't think one thing that people like kind of get construed about masters is it's not you're not learning anything anymore. People aren't teaching you things anymore. It's you learning yourself. So
Mm.
things that you do on a daily basis, like one thing that I loved about my master's, it's in educational leadership, is a lot of the things I thought about leadership, some were right, some were wrong, but it made me develop better skills as a leader. Like that's
Mm.
where one thing I learned in my program was my written communication is not it's doesn't match my personality in real life. So how do I mesh those? And I'm not doing the greatest at it, but I'm a lot better than I was. So the master's program is just pretty much you teaching yourself and you learning, but you seeking out the information. So I would,
Mm.
if you need it, I mean, not saying like if you need it in the real world or whatever, I would go do it because all it's doing is
Interesting.
amplifying what you already know.
So currently, my current boss doesn't feel that I need it, because I am my current boss.
Yeah, if you're not, I'm not. It's one of those things like maybe it's a business degree or something like that, or not even saying that you need it. But if you're podcasting and it's developing, it's rolling, it's evolving, you don't need it.
Yeah. And there are, though, I have thought about, because I'm not above education and doing
Yeah,
what's needed, even like certifications that are needed. Like, part of why I got my degree in, now mine is in psychology, and it's interesting because I'm hearing a lot of business owners say the importance of understanding people, not just having a degree in business. That's great, but if
yeah,
you don't understand how to interact with or lead or whatever people, then you're missing the mark because your target audience are people, your customers, your clients, even your employees are people. But I have considered recently, I've been thinking about getting like certified as a life coach simply because I understand that certifications matter to people. Now, I have over 10 years of experience doing basically what I built my business around. So this is podcasting aside, like my consulting company is built around the experience that I gained in the workforce, which experience means so much more than even just degrees and
Education.
all that. However, stuff like coaching and consulting is kind of more so on the rise now. There are so many consulting agencies out there. And so to kind of set myself apart as, hey, I did what I needed to do to legitimize myself even that much more. Because again, you learn a lot about your style of even coaching people when you're put in situations like that. So I have considered that. Getting my master's, and I actually just told Celeste, shout out to her, this the other day, that sometimes I do miss the scholastic environment just because the conversations, the mental stimulation, like all of that. I love learning new things. The homework, though, man, I don't know about that.
I'm telling you, it's easy. I'm telling you, it is so easy. Like
Hmm.
it's one of those things. It's like, is it the task of doing something you don't like?
Are you trying to like supervise me right now?
My bad.
I feel like that was a
That
question you really wanted me
My
to
bad.
answer. You know what? No. That's I. But it's just so funny. I had a flashback because I felt like I was in your office. Like, see, this is the type of boss I had, y'all. He would just ask questions and then look at me if you're not watching and expect an answer, not like in a rude way or whatever.
Yeah.
It, and that's literally all it is just. And now then again, as I think about this as we're talking, time looks different for me because like when I was in college before, I had a full-time job, of course. I was raising younger kids because I graduated in 2015, so that was, sheesh, that was 7 years ago almost. So my kids were, I know that's insane, that is crazy. I started college at the end of 2009. So that was over a decade ago. My kids were a lot younger, a lot needier. My kids are all adults now. So that's one thing that's different. So, I mean, yeah, I have a love hate relationship with it actually because, and especially with the girls, I think, because we've gone through so much together that I feel like I've and I invested so much time, especially Janae, into like trying to support them as they grieved and all these things. So them being at a place where now they're adults and they rather and now they have the freedom. Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. It's weird. Now I'm grateful because I, get time to myself. But then again, it's kind of weird sometimes. Like they left yesterday, and because they thought I had an attitude, nobody said bye. The hell? Like you don't say bye,
Grown?
huh?
But you think you grown? Like you ain't got to say goodbye to me?
You know what I'm saying? So I text our little group chat and I was like, y'all left and y'all didn't say bye. That's rude. Like, cause I don't do that. If I leave and Janae wakes up and I didn't like, she wakes up and I'm not gone, she is going to FaceTime me back to back to back. Where you at? You know what I'm saying? Just because, oh, I didn't, cause I woke up and I was like, where are you? But I was wide awake and up here, and y'all, but yeah, so it's weird, but that's different. I also don't have, well, I mean, I have a full time job in the sense of my company and all that it has, but it's not the traditional 9 to 5, so I can kind of prioritize my time how I want. And so, I got to see what that looks like because my I know the master's program it's not going to be 4 years. It's usually like a couple years, you know what I'm saying? I can write papers. I'm not worried about that. And you know what's crazy is I always said I was going to wait till Janae graduated to get if I got my master's. So See, look at you. I came here to highlight you, and now I might go back to school. Oh man. All right. So you are also a content creator.
Kind of, kind of,
No, don't say kind of.
kind of. So
He,
yeah, kind of.
he's a photographer, y'all. He's a videographer. I don't know about this kind of.
Have you ever seen something you're like, I wonder if once I broke that barrier of reading, every question that I ask myself, I go and do. Because
Mm,
when it's like one of those things when you grow up, and I don't know if this is everywhere, but I'm gonna say for me in my personal life, growing up poor did something to my mind where I hated it so much, and I didn't realize. My mom knew I hated it, and I just hated it so much because I would see people at school having all these options, and I had no options to do anything. And so, when you're a kid and you grow up, and I hate to say like you grow up in the hood, but you grow up in a poor side of town.
mm-hmm.
Everybody wants to play basketball, everybody wants to play football, and everybody wants to rap.
Mm,
So I played basketball as long as I could play basketball. I
mm.
played football as long as I could play basketball. And I rapped until my wife was like, no, no, no. And I mean, looking back at it, I fought with her a ton, and she was just like, yes, like you got good flow, this, that, and the other. But I'm not married. I'm not married to no rapper. Like that doesn't. And so I
I
used
could,
to.
I could see that. That is so
Man,
funny.
she didn't say it that nice, but I used to call her a dream killer because like you can only see as far as you know, like you can only see so far. So I never would imagine I'd have been in school or did any of that stuff. And so anyway, I do I make videos and I shoot photography because it's that question of what if. Like I mainly do videos because I like to tell stories, and
Hmm.
like the more that I do it, I had to take a break because kind of with the jack of all trades things, the farther you get into it, the more you can do. You realize when you start to mature a little bit that the priority has to be the priority. And
Mm.
so if I'm teaching and that's paying my bills, that's priority number one.
Oh
And
yeah.
summers, that's when I do all my filming and all my photography, or like certain seasons, Christmas breaks. But teaching is priority number one. So, man, and I'm a lifelong learner. Like now, I learn when. Don't give me a topic. Don't send me down a rabbit hole because I'm learning everything about it. I'm reading every article, every book about it, and it's one of those things like you said a little earlier, the jack of all trades saying, I live by that, and I hated myself so much because I did so many different things, and I was like, man. But so my old pastor, he was like, we were in a meeting one day. He was like, "You're a jack of all trades, but you're a master of none." And
Mm.
I mean, it really did. It made me start to hate myself because I did so many different things, but I couldn't. I wasn't an expert in anything. And then later on, I found the long version of the saying that said,
Mm.
"The jack of all trades, but the master of none." But oftentimes, what does it say?
Better than Matt. Yeah.
Better than a master of one.
Yep.
When I like kind of look at myself and was like, wow, just do what I'm going to do. So that's where I started doing the content creation. Now the bad part is I got ADHD, so I'm kind of inconsistent with it. But I love it. Like I love telling the stories. I love when somebody looks at a picture. It's not a I get not it's not a pride, but I feel joy when somebody looks at something I did or a picture that I did or shot a wedding or something like that and just like, oh my God, this means so much. Because it just means like I impacted your life in a positive way.
Hmm. And so I love that you brought up what the pastor said about where he said the negative way that the people usually say the phrase, because when I created this series, it's based like just like the show is based off my life and the ways I'm trying to grow. So now that I am doing these different things, like yes, I'm a podcaster, and that's what a lot of people predominantly focus on because they don't understand what the consulting agency side of things looks like. So I'm a podcaster, yes, but I also have a weekly blog, so I'm a blogger, and writing is my first love. So like where I'm also getting into doing more spoken word. Like you guys are gonna see more content with spoken word pieces coming out from me, Penrose and LNZ. So be on the lookout for that. But that's always been a thing. So there's those are like the creative side. But then there's the professional side of me because like professionalism, doing what you have to do, having a solid foundation, growth mindset type stuff. That's always been who I am. And a lot of people struggle with that. And so it's interesting because I'm learning that the more that I progress in this business owner thing, because I'm always someone who I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to get better. Like developer is one of my top 5 Gallup Strength Finder strengths. So like we know the basement of that is sometimes you could be too critical and feel like it's never good enough because you're always trying to get better. But I'm always trying to get better, and how can I more efficiently and even more effectively do whatever it is I'm trying to do. So the more that I learn, and the part of me that naturally is always trying to train and develop and teach and give people free game, I'm noticing that I'm even evolving in that and what that looks like, and like figuring out what that actually looks like, me as the business owner and all that stuff. But then on top of that, I have this brand that I launched. So then there's that, you know what I'm saying? So like there's all these different things that I'm doing. Content creation is all throughout all of that because we live in the day and age where people are all over social media. People are not really watching commercials on TV. So, like any advertising I do or promoting or whatever, it's usually on social media. You know what I'm saying? Because that's where the people are. So, then that means I've had to learn how to edit videos and like put videos together, or even when I do podcasting and YouTube and like promo clips and all that. But then on top of that, there's the cover because I do all of this. You know what I'm saying? So like the cover art, the podcast layouts, and just all these different things that I've had to learn. And so me knowing that about myself, and me knowing that it's not that I'm a master of none. I would say I'm a master at all of these things because one thing about me is I don't put stuff out if I don't feel like it's good. So y'all have watched my podcast journey. My gosh, when I look at when I listen to
Purple Butterfly.
oh, yeah. Yeah, even that with the blur background. Shout out to StreamYard. They added that. You guys have watched me like move different places, so my background will change again because we will be moving again soon. But you guys have watched all that. But then also just the aesthetics aside, me learning how to edit, me learning how to do all these different things, I would say I continue to master it. So that is why and I'm very much about flipping the negative way that people say or view things, and like trying to give you a different perspective, because I feel like it's not just always this or that. Like we are complex people where more than one thing can be true at the same time, but I choose to view it as you are a master of many things. And everybody that I'm going to bring on here, none of these people like suck at what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? Like when I say Josh was a good boss, I genuinely mean that. Y'all should already know. I'm not going to just say just to say about, I'd rather just be quiet than be out here lying, you know what I'm saying? Because I've had bosses that they didn't effectively lead me, and I just don't say anything about their leadership skills to them because I'm not about to lie. I'm not about to tell you.
I really appreciate it. I do.
Yeah.
That was a time where I was learning a lot. I was learning about myself, and you don't really know a lot. It was a great. I think exactly who was supposed to be teaching me leadership was the people that I was supervising.
And you know what?
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say one of the most. So we talked about Celeste earlier, and she was probably, and we've had this conversation. She was one of the most challenging people I've ever worked with. Ever. But it was one of those things where, like, it really highlighted if there's a problem that we're having, we got to get to the foundational piece of that problem. And it maybe not be a me issue. And it was like she helped. And here's the thing: I don't think we knew we were doing this for each other, but like I was helping her process through some pain, and she was helping me process my leadership. And
Mm.
at the end of it, I was like, I told her, it was like, she's, I'm not going to say she's the reason why I'm teaching, but she is a big part of somebody who was like, when I was self-doubting about going to do my master's and going teaching, she was like, why? Like, you can do it, you can rock it. And so when I did pass and I did get it, I was just like, man, all of that stuff we had to go through really helped me in real life and
Mm.
real leadership. So
But you know what's crazy? Because this week I've been talking about like discipline and momentum and like getting out of your feelings and like not being led by your feelings, but being led by your goals. And when I think about that season, and that was like I was working there when the girl's dad was killed. And I remember in your kindness, because you watched me slipping, you know what I'm saying? You watched me like not really up to par like I normally was. Now, given the circumstances, of course, there's grace, but I'll never forget when you told me that if I wanted to elevate. Now, y'all, listen, I never got, man, I should have gotten in trouble for some stuff, man, potentially, you know what I'm saying? But it wasn't even a conversation like that. It was like after I came out of it, and he said, I've watched you at this mark, and this mark, and this is what I've seen. And if you would want to elevate, because at that time I was maybe considering trying to apply for to be his replacement because he was leaving. And he said, if you want to elevate, you have to be able to have that all in check. You can't have that trip you up at the next level. And ultimately, what that did was set things in motions to where people now today that are watching me with this online platform, for it like prepared me to be the person that y'all see. I put out content literally every day, either the Tamara the Non Ink content, the Melon Intoxicate content, weekly podcast, weekly blog. I don't miss. Y'all see all that, right? I'm present all the time on social media, all that stuff that you need to do, even daily TikToks at this point. You know what I'm saying? Not on there doing no TikTok dances. I figured out what it looks like for me to be on TikTok because it's a great place. Again, to it's all about gaining exposure, but I'm not about to be somebody else just to gain exposure. Like I got to be true to like who I am. You know what I'm saying? But that season when I just failed at staying goal focused and not being led by my feelings. Like there'd be times when I'm supposed to start at 11 and it's like 10:45 and I'm like I'm going to be late or I can't come in today or and it was like grief is hard, you know what
yeah,
I'm saying?
it's real.
But y'all see me what I'm doing now is a big like it's because of what he told me kindly. I didn't feel like condemned or any of that stuff. It was just like, hey, this is what I've seen. This is what you're gonna do. If you don't want to elevate to the next level, then don't worry about it. But if you want to grow, this is what you're gonna have to do. And that's how our conversations always were. Another thing he told me, there was an employee that I had that I kind of struggled with leading. And one of the things he told me was that when you get to the next level, a lot of times the thing that bothers you the most at this level is a constant thing at the next level. So you got to master that so that it doesn't bother you. So then when you elevate, you're already prepared for that. And I've seen, so like there are just certain lessons, y'all. We left there years ago. He left almost 7 years ago, but there are just certain things that have just stuck with me ever since. So that's why y'all see me, my life literally outside of what y'all see online. It's wild. It's by God's grace and Him preparing me for such a time as this that y'all keep seeing things going, and that's all y'all see. And you're just like, oh, and business is great, and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, I just keep going. Like, that's the thing. I've just learned how to keep going. And yeah, so of course that time period, prepared you for such a time as this. You heard Josh and I's conversation. Josh had to go early, and I decided to go ahead and just put the episode out as is. But if nothing else, what I want to make sure that you take away from this episode is one, as I often say, and as Josh said in his life, the journey prepares you for where you're going. So as you are as you are a jack of all trades and you continue to master stuff, it will continue to prepare you for that next thing. But also, two, I'm going to say this: don't let someone speak someone negative over you and let it have you disliking the way God created you to be. You heard that he said someone half said the statement. So they said, Jack of all trades is a master of none. That's only half of the statement. But that half of the statement almost caused him to forfeit really his future. It could have, if he would have stayed stuck in that mindset of, I don't want to master a bunch of things, because that's what a jack of all trades actually does, is masters many different things, and being a master of many is better than a master of one. So that's the two things I want to make sure that y'all take away from this episode. Make sure that you are taking care of yourself mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. Be healthy in your relationships. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank y'all so much for tuning in, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.
Ladies and gents, this concludes transmission. Tune in next time for a whole new edition. Another adventure and mission to share, be heard, and clarify the vision of this whole new world for